So we got one firefighter's incident command. He's going to walk around the vehicle, check what there are for hazards. Assess patient, be able to give a report to the oncoming ambulance. You're going to check the doors, see if stuff's locked, and you can just get right in. First step is vehicle stabilization. You got to make sure it doesn't move. Obviously right here in this particular spot, nothing's really going to go anywhere, but it's part of common practice. Now if you get to one that's rolled on its side or somewhere on a hill or a slippery surface, stabilization becomes really important and sometimes can take longer than getting the patient out. So starting up the jaws of life, that motor runs a hydraulic system. There's a couple different tools they can use. There's a spreader, which they just barely grabbed off the left side, and then there's cutters that are on the right side that they're hooking up right now. They all have their purpose. They covered the steering wheel because if there's a driver in there and the airbag all of a sudden goes off, it'll stop it and protect the driver or the first responders. Usually make entry into the vehicle. He's going to cover up the seat for this purposes, but a lot of times they're covering up the patient. So when you have broken glass and that sort of thing, you don't want the patient to be hurt. Normally when you get on scene like this, the first thing you have to do to the patient is make sure they're immobilized. So a lot of times there'll be an EMS agent that'll go into the rig first, if you can gain access, and hold C-spine, which is the neck. So you'll try to hold the patient steady while the firefighters are working trying to get stuff opened up.
Adam.
So what he's doing right there with the bar is trying to gain access to the end so that his spreaders can make access into the door and spread it open.
Yep.
There's a couple different ways you can do this. This is one of the methods. When you're on scene, the method is going to expose itself based on how the situation is. If the car is on its side, it's one thing. If it's on a flat surface, it's another. Part of the T-post is damaged, it's going to be something else as well. So you can see they've got stabilization blocks all the way around the car so it can't move. We also have airbags. We've got compressed air over there, so if it's something you have to lift, you can put the airbags underneath, pump up the air to it, and it stabilizes the vehicle that way. So this is a little bit of an older car, however, the newer cars now, the electric vehicles have high levels of electricity running through the vehicle, and so you have to be careful about where you spread and where you cut, because you can electrocute people that way. So the spreader bars are opening up and giving access to that door. Sometimes it takes one try and it'll pop in. Another time it'll take 4 or 5 tries to get that popped open. Sometimes the doors are already off when you get there. As a side note, so this equipment was through a grant. So all this equipment came for free originally through the government. However, you still have to maintain the equipment, which is a cost to taxpayers. The cutters that are on the ground right there, actually the jaws were no good. We had to replace those jaws. Just for the jaws was $1,200. So everything's super expensive. You've got to take care of it the best you can, but it's part of the deal. So normally the rule is you try before you pry, which means you can get on scene and the door might just plain open for you. For demonstration purposes, we're making it as if the door could not open. They lock them from the inside.
What makes the door easier? Doing that opens up the space between the door and the window. Because they went to the back and it worked with the seat, so it's not working that way.
We did that one. We did that.
So what they did is they opened that space up so they could gain access to the hinges of the door. And right now they're trying to cut the hinges right off. It will allow it. Some of them are hardened steel, and it might take a minute to get through. Other times they pop real easy. They threw on one hinge, going to the bottom one. Go real close, so it'll come right out and have access to the paper. Another part of our response is the engine company comes as well, because a lot of times there's leaking fluids and fires could happen as well. So normally there's a hose line stretch, and we've got that primed and ready, so if there's any fire that breaks out, one of the most important parts of this scene is scene safety, which is traffic control. Meaning going down to one lane or slowing down traffic so that you don't have people whizzing by at 70 miles per hour. Something pops off or whatever, or somebody falls and they end up in the line of traffic. That's not a good thing. It's easy to get tunnel vision and just focus on your patient when, if you're not alive and doing your thing, you're not worth anything to anybody. So it's always safety first when it comes to this. You see they've got their helmets and their gloves on, and their face shields are down. So if anything flies or whatever, it's not going to come and hit them. Probably the longest scene I've been on, we had a SUV upside down, and it actually took almost 7 hours to get the person out. I mean, this is just a simple door pop, and sometimes they fight for more than others. Sometimes we go over to that one popped off in pretty much 2 seconds. Depends on how it is, how the vehicle is. Luckily in that scenario we were able to gain access to the patient, start an IV and everything for them while they were in pretty bad shape, but they made it and they were alright. That particular situation, the car, the vehicle was suspended half in the street, half on a bank. So it was very easy to stabilize.
Hi, Edie! Hey, wait a minute. Get over here. What are you doing? Get over here. What are you doing?
Stand right here, buddy. Stop. Right here. Hold my hand. Okay. Your hand's like ice skin. You want me to hold the other hand? Oh, God, gotta move.
Because it always got the handles of the steering out, always want to now the patient's dead. Yeah, I think so. Well, hope not. Well, at least it will not.
Cut it right off.
Want to try dash roll?
See that? They take the all right off, Josh. What do you think of that?
Jim, did you figure out what they did wrong? Yeah, I forgot to put you in there. Oh, that's a blocker in the stop the door from opening.
We're going to attempt a dash roll here. So what that is a lot of times when you have frontal impact, you actually have impact where it pushes the dash down on the patient's legs and they're pinned.
You cannot go over there. Where are you going?
Now, cars are made to give. They're made to bend on purpose to save your life, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to bend where you want them to. Well, they have to make a cut to release the pressure, and then sometimes it's just a matter of moving that dash just an inch up, just so you can gain access to be able to pull the patient out. So they make a relief cut, and then they have to set up this brace in the door jamb. And then they use that piston there to push the dash up out of the way. Sometimes we have to take this center post out to get the patient. Sometimes you have to take the roof off and pull them out the top. Now everything's connected here. The other thing you might notice here is that it's fairly slow, methodical movement. Nobody needs a maniac when you've got a cut situation that doesn't work. So you do your work at your pace, how you can do it. That's how you're efficient. You work too fast, you make mistakes sometimes. You can't afford to make mistakes in 5 or 4 times. Off just to make sure there's not electrical or something in the way that you're going to cut.
Sorry, Red. Which one? Red. Afterwards, just point out. The features and where they made mistakes or which they could have done a little bit different. They should have kept those pieces of plastic out before they started to have to do it. They make that is really important. There is a real accident and
you see the vehicle move, which isn't really much when it's on a flat spot. If you don't have it properly braced, when your vehicle's sideways or upside down, a little movement might be the thing that rolls that car over. It pins more people. So that's where you can see how it's stabilized and then start making something. The hardest part of a dash roll is finding the spot that will actually grab, because being everything that's around it, it wants to kick, and there's so much pressure there that it doesn't take much to not line up perfect. Sometimes it'll take quite a few minutes to get this lined up just right in order to get that dash roll. Sometimes it looks like almost no movement, but it doesn't take much, a lot of time to get it. So you can see it moving. Nice spot. Where they had it was probably enough for what they needed, but they're trying to get a little bit better.
We're here for the hot dogs.
Got it?
I don't ever know if it's good messaging me because that dude has said it's made the post about.
Oh,